This just in, breathing oxygen is linked to staying alive. And today's top story, if you like drinks, you're gonna love Drizzly. Drizzly is the #1 app for alcohol delivery, where you can compare prices on the biggest selection of beer, wine, and spirits, and get them all delivered to your door in under 60 minutes. Sources say that it all can be done on the Drizzly app or on drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. Back to you, Tom.
Stand by. The vacuum tubes are warming up. This is a special live broadcast right here on Georgia Radio.
It's time to do it. Neighbor to Neighbor is on the air. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time you're listening to us. I'm Matt Jolly. It's just after 10 a.m. here in the great state of Georgia. And I'm joined today by Evan Zebley, who is on location down there in Perry, right smack dab in the heart of the state at Bodega Brew. And Evan, how you doing today? Glad you could do this.
Hey, doing. Thanks so much for having us, Matt.
You've got a guest down there with you. You're taking part in a Chamber of Commerce event today, talking to local business owners, and you're right in the thick of it. I love it. So, what's going on down there?
Well, I'm here with Bruce Hullett, who's with the Happy Hour Service Center out of Warner Robins, and he actually sponsors through Happy Hour a networking event that happens 2 times a month, Wednesday mornings. We call it the Morning Brew Mix-Up, and this morning we're at Bodega Brew in downtown Perry. It's a great opportunity for a lot of local business owners, leaders, community members to just kind of get together and have some fun over coffee.
You mentioned Happy Hour. I love the mission there at Happy Hour Services, and I hope that you and Bruce can share a little bit more with all of us. I've got my coffee, so I'm just going to sit back and listen this morning, guys. Welcome, Bruce. Glad you're here.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, thanks, Evan, for having me.
Absolutely. Bruce, just for people that don't know, can you tell us a little bit about what Happy Hour does? What's the mission at Happy Hour Service Center?
Well, our mission, obviously, we are a nonprofit based out of Warner Robins, Georgia. We've been around since 1956, actually, and but we train and care for adults with disabilities. We have about 130 on our campus. We have a 33-acre campus there in the middle of Warner Robins.
That's amazing. And so the people that you have there, they're staying there full time?
Well, we have that 130 that I mentioned as part of our day services program. Of that 130, we have about 32 that actually live in our residential program. They have no family, no support system, so we care for them around the clock.
Oh, that's amazing. And then, so now with those people that you're helping serve, what's part of that programming that you help them with?
Well, we provide a safe and caring environment for them, and that we have training centers with instructors that we train them in different skill sets, life skill sets, social skill sets, different work activity skill sets, and we're very blessed to have a lot of great community partners. So we contract work to come into our training centers, and we also help our individuals with skill sets that will help them to find employment in the community, and we assist them with that by the way of job coaches that we have on site.
But that's amazing. So basically you can take these people that they do need that help, they need that support in their lives, and then help make them productive members of society.
Exactly. That's the key phrase there. We feel like they have every right and privilege that you and I have to be able to feel like a productive part of the society and be a part of the community. They love getting out and doing social events, and again, I cannot say enough good things about some of the community partners that we have. We always have some that are just reaching out to us and want to help in any regard.
Well, that's a fantastic part that I've always enjoyed about the House and County community is it seems like everybody wants to be more involved with community. In fact, a phrase that keeps coming up to me is that a rising tide lifts all boats.
Right.
And so that's been fantastic. I've seen that over and over, especially with the nonprofits in the area. But of course, it also takes somebody like you that is doing that public relations, being that community coordinator.
Right. Yeah. My title is actually Community Relations Coordinator. So I'm responsible for to all the fundraising that we do. I try to keep something in the pipeline at all times for fundraisers. I also reach out to foundations and do grant writing. And because a lot of big businesses and some small businesses too have money set aside just for nonprofits. So I do grant writing. And then, of course, I handle our Facebook page, Happy Hour Service Center, and on our website, and try to make sure that the community knows what all that we're involved in and what we're doing. And that's how we have found actually some of these community partners, because they have seen some of the activities and events that we do, and they want to be a part of it. They want to help out.
No, that's great. I was going to say that actually with that social media, I feel like I see you all the time on there posting something about what's going on with the happy hour. And then besides that, with that programming, you're also involved with the Special Olympics. Is that
exactly
correct?
Yeah, we compete in 4 different sports at the present time. We compete in basketball, volleyball, bocce ball, and bowling. Just competed in our Georgia State Special Olympics in Valdosta last month in bocce ball. We took 2 teams down, and our athletes, they were in 2 different divisions, but both teams came back with a bronze medal. So they were very tickled about that. But they are so excited anytime they get to get off campus and have a good time, spend the night somewhere else other than in their home or in our residential program. And then we're competing now, or we're practicing now for bowling. We'll go to the state games that'll be held in Atlanta at the end of January. And we're looking at taking about 20 athletes up there, because we have some amazing bowlers.
Some avid bowlers there.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Well, and then with the sponsors that you have and the community partners, what are some of the work that a lot of the people that you're helping, what's a lot of the work that they participate in?
As far as our participants?
Yeah.
Well, we have, as I mentioned, we have some contracts with businesses that we bring work in. Like we have a big project right now with Kohl's Distribution Center, located in Macon area. Is where this distribution center is at. But our folks have a assembly line, if you will, set up, and we are making up 80,000 totes for them to put together, palletize, ship it back to their warehouse so they can put merchandise in it and send it out to the retail outlets. So this is this is teaching them some great hand-eye coordination, motor skills, and things like that.
Well, and it also sounds like, we mentioned about them being a part of the fabric of our society, that they're also becoming a critical part of the businesses that they're working with, that this is a necessary function.
Right. Yeah. Well, as you know, not just here in Middle Georgia, but all over, those are hiring challenges for some businesses. So we can offer them, help in that area. We have many of our individuals that are out in the community working, doing fast food, custodial work, packing and stocking in a retail environment, and so forth. So, but yeah, they are. They may have disabilities, some physical, some mental, some both. But we have some very high functional individuals, and they love getting out. Like I said, getting out and being a productive, part of society and feeling like they belong.
Well, no, that's great, and I love the mission. Just like Matt was saying, that it's always great to hear. Really, any nonprofit being successful with their missions, and then you've been such a huge part of being the face of that. Can you tell me a little bit about some upcoming programming that you have that you mentioned?
Well, I have, like I said, we always have fundraisers that are going on. We have a big golf tournament every May. I've only been on board with Happy Hour going on my 3rd year. So we're about to have our fourth annual tournament And but that takes place in May there in Warner Robins. We have, again, if it were not for our community partners and the sponsorships that they're involved with, but that is our biggest fundraiser to this date each year. But we have several things. We partner with businesses and doing car wash discounts, gun raffles. We partner with Macon Bacon baseball team, and they're a great community partner. And we even take our folks, to some of the games if they're able to go.
No, that's fun. I always enjoy those, and then the Mayhem games, and that's always fun to go.
We've not attempted to go to a hockey game yet, but that could be in the future.
Yeah. Well, now speaking as far as, I guess, now moving away from the mission and some of the programming, a little bit about your job and having to be in front of people. I would be remiss if I didn't plug the Perry Chamber of Commerce that, we were here for that event this morning that Happy Hour was sponsoring.
Right.
And it's always been great for me personally to network with people. How has that worked out for Happy Hour so far?
Well, absolutely. When they hired me for this position, I was already an advocate of community and tried to be involved and support local business, but not just local business, but all business, but especially when I came on board in 2020 and the pandemic took place. I actually created a discount card, if you will, and I reached out to small local owned businesses for this discount card to try to drive business to them. So I'm always been a big advocate of supporting small business, but being out and about and in the community. And again, we're here. You can probably hear in the background, those that are listening, the networking event is just, broken up here, but a lot of people will just hang around and network one-on-one. And, we had 7 newcomers here.
First
time here this morning. And just a great event down here, downtown Perry at Bodega Brew.
Well, yeah, it was really interesting to see the different mix of businesses and individuals that come to the events. I mean, I know that I brought Flip Archie, he moved his videography business down from Atlanta back to Central Georgia because in large part due to the real estate market boom, but then also because he sees a need here. And I've noticed that trend lately. A lot of smaller businesses finding that need here that the market has and saying, well, instead of people leaving Central Georgia to fill this need, why don't we start providing it here?
Right. Yeah, that's true. And another thing is that, there are, Warner Robins or Houston County being a military, we have Robins Air Force Base, which there's, 24,000 people out on that base. It's like a city within a city.
Absolutely.
And it is the largest industrial employer in the whole state of Georgia. So, but I said that to say this, I've met so many business owners that have retired military, and they may be from who knows where, but they have decided to stay in the Houston County, Warner Robins, Perry area and open up their business.
Well, and that's interesting too, because yesterday at the State of the Community,
right,
Colonel Sergio Rios,
right,
he mentioned that story that I thought was so funny that we forget about as Southern people,
right,
was the Southern hospitality.
Exactly.
When he mentioned that even his wife in Walmart and somebody came to help her and he was like, yeah, well, what's wrong with that? And she said, well, it's not an employee.
Yeah.
It's somebody to say, hey, do you need help? And he's like, well, welcome to Southern hospitality. We're in it now.
That's exactly right. I love that story. I shared that with many folks yesterday afternoon after leaving that luncheon. And I had a chance to meet him. He's genuine. He's Vice Commander in Chief, I believe, of the 78th
right
Wing. So, but yeah, the Robins Air Force Base and the Perry and Warner Robins, and let's not forget, Houston County is made up of 3 cities. It's Centerville, Warner Robins, and Perry.
Right.
And they all 3 work. The community leaders work so well together and are a great partner of Robins Air Force Base. And I think that has a lot to do with, because naturally there's people coming and going at Robins Air Force Base. But when the community makes an impact on those kind of people, and they desire to stay in this area once they retire, and we've had some to go serve elsewhere, but yet come back. And stay.
I think it's an amazing testament. I mean, to the people here. I mean, it is. Any community, of course, is its people. And then I know that we have a break coming up in a few seconds, and after the break, I guess let's talk a little bit more about what's coming up, and then things that we'd like to see. Here with Evan Zebley and Bruce Hullett and Happy Hour Service Center at Bodega Brew in downtown Perry.
Hi, this is Wade Peoples from Georgia Folk and Farm Life Radio. I'm here to tell you about Meeks Brothers Cattle Company. And you don't have to worry about supply chain issues or where your beef comes from. Do what I do and call Meeks Brothers Cattle Company today. You can get a whole, half, a quarter, any amount of beef you want. Good quality beef, vacuum packed, lasts up to 3 years in your freezer. It's grass-fed, grain-finished, made to order. Visit Meeks Brothers Cattle Company on Facebook today and tell them Brother Wade sent you. And that's Meeks Brothers Cattle Company. Thank you.
I know you can hear me, and so can your customers. Lots of people don't take kids seriously, but listen up. Advertising on Georgia Radio is seriously easy and affordable. Visit georgiaradio.com/advertise, or better yet, call the station. So let's talk. Your customers are listening, and so is my mom. Hi, Mom.
Georgia Radio. Good company and great country.
Enjoying the country music.
Welcome back here to a special episode of Neighbor to Neighbor. We're down at Bodega Brew this morning with our friend Evan Zebley, who is, he's a local business guy, and he has a real heart for the community. And he's hanging out at a Perry Chamber of Commerce event down there at Bodega Brew right now in Perry, Georgia. So if you drive down there, look for the guy with the mustache and all of his buddies.
This just in. Breathing oxygen is linked to staying alive. And today's top story, if you like drinks, you're gonna love Drizzly. Drizzly is the #1 app for alcohol delivery, where you can compare prices on the biggest selection of beer, wine, and spirits, and get them all delivered to your door in under 60 minutes. Sources say that it all can be done on the Drizzly app or on drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. Back to you, Tom.
Down there, it's the man, the myth, and the mustache. Evan, welcome back from your break. I was going to let you come back from the break and just take it, but I thought, I don't want to throw him off.
No, thank you. I'm way too green to be able to do that.
This is great. I'm just sitting here sipping coffee, listening to you and Bruce hang out with all your friends in the background. I think this is great. I'm glad you're here today.
Well, good. No, I really appreciate the opportunity, and I know Bruce does too.
Absolutely.
The opportunity to highlight just one of the many, many events that goes on in Houston County. The amount of programming that happens for business and the community is just astounding to me. I was actually invited to sit in on a recent council that has to do with marketing with the Main Street program in Perry. And they're getting their 2023 calendars together, coordinating with the city of Perry, with Houston County, looking at what everybody's got going on. And that goes back to what Bruce mentioned earlier about having such a great group of leaders that they're not concerned about competing for who can look the best or who's going to provide what service. They're all trying to work together to facilitate as great a community as we can have together. So as a citizen, but also as a business person, I super appreciate that. And then moving on from that, I actually wanted to see how personal Bruce will let me get. Just find out. Matt mentioned something about the man and the mystery behind this mustache. That's not what I want to talk about. I want to find out what's going on with Bruce. So what brought you to Happy Hour?
Well, that's an interesting story, and my previous background was staffing and recruiting, and Happy Hour was actually one of my clients, and so I was there talking with them about some positions that they wanted me to help them with, because I've had placed people with them before. And so I was sitting down with the executive director and the HR director, and then we went over some things. And my executive director says, and we want to create this position. We want to combine some jobs together. We want somebody to do grant writing. And of course, that didn't spark with me because I had no experience in doing grant writing. And then it said, we want somebody to do some fundraising for us. And then they wanted somebody to be, handle the social media and just be out in the community. And then that's when I kind of perked up because I've always been a part of chambers wherever, I lived. I lived in Virginia, North Carolina some, and now been here in Georgia for 25 years. And I've always wanted to take part in chamber events, connecting folks, because that was my background when I was in staffing. I was connecting people with jobs and jobs with people.
I've got to say, out of all the people that I meet, and you kind of find that there is a type of business that fits a personality. I've always been impressed with people that are in staffing, because that seems to be the main thing they're focused on. If they're good, is that they are connecting people, because that's literally the job, I guess.
Right. And we had a couple of staffing folks in our networking. And, but yeah, it was, and it's probably a challenging business now, with everything that's going on. But yeah, that position sort of just fell in my lap, so to speak. I call it a God thing.
Uh-huh.
And, when I spoke up after hearing what they were looking for, I said, wow, I might be interested in that. And of course, we all chuckled about it that day. And, but the next day, Mr. Blackston, our executive director, gave me a call and said, Bruce, I'd really like to have you a part of our team. So long story short, I came on board in February of 2020, and it's got to be the most rewarding position that I've ever had. It's not the most paid position. I've made lots more money in the past, but to be on campus with these individuals and see some of the things that they do and that they're capable of, it's just, I leave there and it's just a great feeling.
Well, I think that speaks to what it is to be in your place and feel like you're where you belong, because as you mentioned many, many times, and for many people, of course, it's a practical thing that it comes down to money. But if you have the opportunity and you realize what the value really is to you in your work, in your day to day, and then you're able to fulfill that value, well, you're a service person and right. You're able to fill that role and be that person. And I think that, of course, Happy Hour is lucky and fortunate to have you. I think that we in the community are very lucky to have you. Because, you joke about, me being places and me doing things. No.
You're
that's Bruce. Bruce is everywhere doing everything.
Yeah, we do run into each other quite often. And, but it's funny. I tell my executive director, Mr. Blackston, that, and he said that, well, hey, you're doing what I paid you to do. So, but I enjoy being out in the community and, like I said, connecting people. And I like to go back to one thing that we were talking about a while ago. You mentioned about the community and the small business support. Mm-hmm. Good friend of mine, Ashley James, who you may know, that owns Mini Dixie Donuts. Uh-huh. Back in 2020 when the pandemic hit, she coined a phrase that I have used, and but she just says, it's community over competition. Mm-hmm. And when you look at it that way, that's the reason that the small businesses reach out to other small businesses, just like we had in this group this morning. What do you have going on that I can help you with?
Absolutely. And I'm a firm believer in that. In my practice, in my experience in business, of course, number one, I feel like just from a practical standpoint, it's good to understand the landscape. It's good to know who out there has the same service that you have. But number two, once you have a better understanding of your market, you eventually realize that no matter what business you're working for, they don't have the capacity to serve 100% of the market.
Right.
And so finding those partnerships between competition so that now your competition is your community, I am a firm believer in that.
Right.
And I think that the ability to partner with other businesses and understand, well, yes, we technically offer the same service or product, but we service a slightly different market. We can work together. Or you know what? I'm actually at capacity right now, but you know who you should go talk to is this other friend of mine that has a similar business. And I think that they'll be able to get you what you need in time.
Right.
And I imagine your friend with having to do with food, and during COVID time, supply was a huge issue.
Supply chain and demand. It was incredible.
And the small businesses that I've seen that have been successful through these strange times in the last couple of years, the ones that I think that were the most successful, the ones that did identify with their community and did make those partnerships, because they started to realize, hey, look, we have to support each other. Right. And that was so great to see that it's less about what's the dollar I can make? What can I do if my competitor is gone? It was more about, no, our community needs this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when a person has a business, if they genuinely feel like they want to take care of that customer, well, they should do what it takes. If it means referring them to the competition, if they can't fulfill that need, because that is, I won't go through the entire example, but that happened to me in the staffing industry. Mm-hmm. And I almost got looked down on and talked about, so, well, you mean you sent somebody to the competition? I said, yes, because I couldn't take care of their need. But the competitor actually did. But that person that needed that service, the next time they had a need, they called me, because they could genuinely see that I was concerned about their needs, not just me wanting to do.
No, absolutely. And I know it's anecdotal, but I've had the exact same experience, and I've talked to other people that have had the same experience, and I love to hear that, because, again, to me, it's a good business practice, but it's go ahead and involve yourself in the community, and then it's almost like an extension of the golden rule. It's, not necessarily thinking so much about I'm going to do good for somebody else, but more like you're going to take that golden rule and make it a golden heart. Like, I'm just going to be that good person. I'm going to do what I need to do for my customers, for my community. And, and within reason too, we all understand as business professionals that we have a job. We have to, sorry,
my phone. I will send that to voicemail. Sorry about that.
This is a busy guy, popular. Yeah. They're like, hey, I hear you online right now. Like, hey, did you know that you're on the radio? Yeah. It's live. Yeah. I'm here.
I know we're kind of winding down to the end, but I do want to say something about another mission that we have. Yes, our main mission is to provide a caring and safe environment for our developmentally disabled folks. Mm-hmm. We also provide recycling services. We have on our campus there in Warner Robins, and it's located at 202 North Davis Drive. On that 33-acre campus, we have a recycling center that is open 24/7, 365 days a year.
Well, that sounds amazing and massive. I mean, what all is involved with having a full-on recycling center like that?
We have people from the community, and I say the community, House and County, but I have met lots of people from neighboring counties, mm-hmm. because there's not really another one like it in the area. But we have people to drop off their cardboard, their aluminum cans, their glass bottles, their plastic. We even recycle electronics, mixed paper, magazines. And it's not that it's so much of a revenue stream for us. Yes, we do make a little bit of money off of that, but all that recycling goes into our training centers, mm-hmm. and helps us train our disabled adults in different skill sets of sorting and packing and different things.
No, like absolutely. Like, you have to keep that pipeline full as far as your mission goes. It's how are we going to serve the people? We can't do it with only money. Right. We've got to also give them the tasks to do. We've got to have something to train them with. And that's amazing, especially with that many products in a recycling center. That's so many different skills. And can you tell us a little bit, I mean, for somebody that hasn't been to a recycling center and understanding you have to separate everything, you have to...
Well, we have designated areas for them to bring that. But yes, sometimes, people are just going to put, whatever they have bagged up or boxed up, and it's going to go into one area. So yes, sometimes we go through a separating process.
Now, Happy Hour, as part of that, also has a pickup route. Is that correct?
We do have, and we're challenging in that area because we could use we're trying to hire some truck drivers, or we've relabeled that position recycling technician, but mm-hmm. we do have some drivers that go out and pick up cardboard from businesses in the Houston County area. I think over 300 now, and it's a free service. But
I was amazed. I was actually in the Perry Chamber one day, and then some guys came for pickup.
Right.
And so it was awesome because I had the opportunity that I normally don't have. It's like, oh, well, here's the driver, or here's somebody that's assisting.
Right.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, we have a driver that's a full-time staff person for us, and they take two of our individuals with them and help, and they earn money, and they're out in the community. They're learning social skills, and the companies and the community businesses that take part in this. I mean, they just love our folks coming by and taking care of their recyclables.
Well, that's awesome. And again, this is Bruce Hullett with the Happy Hour Service Center. I'm Evan Zebley with Minuteman Press here on the tail end of a networking event through the Perry Chamber that's sponsored by Happy Hour at Bodega Brew in downtown Perry. And very thankful that Matt Jolly gave me a call and asked me, like, hey, can you get somebody on the radio real quick?
Yeah, thank you, Matt. We appreciate it.
I think it's just great. And I have a question for Bruce here. Bruce, you sort of talked about this a little bit. Do you know, I'm sure you have it down to the penny, what do you have to raise to keep one person in that program and house
goodness. Them? Well, unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that, Matt. I don't get into the financial part about it, but I do know that if it were not, and I can't say this enough, if we're not for our community partners and some of the sponsorships they do, and we have some individuals there on our campus that are private donors and are very generous in supporting us. But yeah, most of our revenue is done through fundraising and donations and grants. And as long as I'm doing my job, I hope I have a job. But
listen, the point of this question is just simply this. It costs money to keep these folks housed and fed and clothed. And I'll tell you what, you can make a big difference if you're driving through Middle Georgia by either bringing the recycling or utilizing these services. I think it's great.
Exactly. Thank you.
And it's a wonderful model for folks all across the state to come down and take a look at. I think that's the great thing. I really do. Thanks for coming on this morning, guys.
Thanks. Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Evan,
thanks, Matt.
If you need a sign, they need to call you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I should probably plug that, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Evan's your sign guy.
Well, signs and so much more. I mean, vinyl and just all kind of stuff that you do. Give them the quick shout out here.
Oh, yeah. Well, absolutely. At Minuteman Press, we take care of any of your printing needs, whether that's business cards, flyers, pamphlets, and booklets that you use at church, direct mail ad campaigns. But, of course, I am the designated sign guy. So if you have something you need for your business or event, whether that's your brick and mortar or, I mean, heck, even if you need a full-on construction project for the QT that's coming to town and needs a 150-foot high-rise next to I-75, those are projects that I do and I help the community with. And I'm very lucky to have helped so many businesses in the Middle Georgia area, and I'm looking forward to the continued success of the area and how I can help them further.
There you go. Evan, thanks for coming on this morning. Bruce, thanks for coming on. And if Tom Kersey is listening this morning, Tom, Evan can help you with the sign for your barrel store. Tom sells barrels, used 50-gallon barrels, and he's got some of those big plastic ones. I said he needs to market them as disappearing burn barrels. And he hadn't done that yet, probably for good reason. So there you go, guys. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you coming on this morning.
Thanks so much, Matt.
Appreciate it.
Evan, you and I are meeting for lunch later today, aren't we? I think we are.
Oh, yeah. I think I'll give you a call after this.
All right. Y'all have a great day. Thanks again, guys. You've been listening to Neighbor, and just so thankful to have Evan and Bruce on down there at Bodega Brew in downtown Perry, Georgia. Most of all, though, I'm just glad that you're here and we're getting to hang out. That's it for Neighbor to Neighbor. We'll talk to you next week right here on Georgia Radio. Stay tuned. Got a lot of great music coming up.
Georgia Radio. Good company and great country.